the 2% entertainment cess that the Karnataka government is planning to levy. Now, Karnataka is considering a 2% cess on movie tickets and OTT subscription fees to support cinema and cultural artists. Now, this cess will apply to cinema tickets, subscription fees, and related revenue within the state. The rate, it has been set between 1 to 2%, which will be adjusted by the government every 3 years. The bill is mainly considering it necessary to constitute a welfare board and establish a fund for financing schemes to provide social security and welfare. Let's listen to some of the reactions that have come in.
I think it is absolutely okay. Because whatever we are seeing or facilitating we are getting from the government, it is from our tax only. And though it is a entertainment, so it is not the thing, some essential things that it is being taken from everybody. I am not seeing the movie every day, no. It may be for once in a month or twice in a month. So it is an entertainment. It is not some compulsory things. So definitely I will pay.
I don't think it's fair. I mean, I think all they are saying is instead of coming to the theatres, by increasing the cess, they're just asking us to sit back and watch the OTT platforms. They're encouraging us more to go towards OTT platforms than inviting people to come and have a social life in the cinema theatres.
Still, are you going to movies?
I think now with this, I'm going to decide on this. Probably I'll pay more for the other OTT platforms and subscribe to new platforms now. That's what it's going to be. Yeah.
All right. To talk about this a little more, we are joined at this time by L. Ravichandra. He's a film critic and an advocate. I'm also joined by Kaushik Moitra, a lawyer and somebody who has worked with these OTT platforms. Gentlemen, welcome to NDTV. You've heard the reactions from the public there. My first question to you, Mr. Moitra, is that the price of these tickets are already very expensive when you compare it to places like Tamil Nadu. And multiplex, it ranges from 250 to 1,000, including gold class. Why would the government come up with something like this? And how do you think it will impact the users now?
Hi, Osama. Hello, everyone. Well, why is a question that the government should answer. I am not competent to answer that. However, what I can say is that as far as movie tickets are concerned, there are already a 36% tax on that, which is called entertainment tax. It's a little difficult to understand why we need 2% more. While nobody here on this show or anywhere is kind of questioning the intent of the legislation vis-a-vis welfare, but making the ticket or the subscription more expensive has a cascading effect in a way, because if your movie ticket gets more expensive, which means less footfall, and this is an industry which is just coming out of COVID, and I'm talking about theaters. They've just started. 24 has been a good year. You guys have reported also that the first 2 quarters of 24 have been great for Bollywood and for other industries in that sense. Equally, the creative industry as a whole in the OTT, it takes a lot of money to produce what you produce. And after that, if you are unable to recover from the ground, today, the only way to recover is subscription revenue. You're actually driving up the cost of each OTT, which would mean lesser people will subscribe. And in a market where the average revenue per unit is already very low, I'm not sure the OTTs will be able to recover the amount of money that they've spent. That's point number one. Point number two is the fact that when it comes to consumers, so we don't only talk about consumers, but we should also talk about everybody who is working in that industry. And in this way, we have to also define who actually is the creative person that the government is trying to benefit out of this cess. And that those are questions that need to be answered, possibly a little more consultation with stakeholders. and when I mean stakeholders are the OTT players, stakeholders are the producers, the movie theater owners, and the customers, as well as the artists. I think there is enough and more precedent in India where the ministry, the our nodal ministry, which is the Ministry of Information and Broadcasting, has done everything policy via consultation. So possibly there should be some consultation before coming up with a legislation of this kind, which has great intent, but how to kind of implement it is something we need to think and ponder about. And lastly, I think as far as welfare is concerned, there has to be a certain amount of equity in any decision that anyone takes, and we have to clearly chart out what that welfare is going to be. Are we opening hospitals? Are we giving them accident relief? Are we giving them medical insurance? What is it that we are planning to do? Otherwise, it might just end up
Right.
becoming one more layer of bureaucracy. I'll stop there.
Right. No, you rightly mentioned about the stakeholders there and how it is impacting various stakeholders here, especially the theaters. I want to ask Mr. Ravichander, these movie lovers, they'll ask why the OTTs and how will they find entertainment and at what cost now?
Two things, Osama. First, hello to you and Kaushik and the viewers, of course. Let's understand that, as Kaushik rightly said, the power of the government to levy these taxes beyond question, right? Both under the Cinematograph Act and under the various enactments that govern cinema, the power is given. Now, just before you got onto this item on your show, there were talks about what's happening in Delhi, what's happening in Haryana. Today, we have this larger debate on how much do governments spend on these kind of freebies that have to go to the public. Where does the government get this money from? Either it's an unabashed inflationary market, or the government hides them through various sources to ensure that it gets some kind of money to make good its budgetary allocations for various programs. Now, should there be a connect between the welfare cess that it collects, cinema? Debatable. I would say that a welfare cess on cinema need not, by law, be spent only on the cinema viewer. 1. 2. Why is there a cess on OTT platforms? The obvious answer is that if there is a movement of a large audience away from the theater to the OTT platform, and the OTT platform holders are making their money from the kind of films they're showing on the OTT platform, then obviously that part of the money will have to be taxed, and it goes on. Understand that OTT platform overheads would arguably be less than the overheads, say, in a theater or in other public platforms. Therefore, probably the government is looking at, this is just, work in progress as of today.
Well, like you said,
OTT platforms today are no longer for the semi-luxurious. It is cut across. It's going to everybody. So you are touching every pocket that can afford it. And if we start looking at every minor pocket saying this, they are going to be affected, these people are going to be affected, of course, the more the number of PPs in beneficiaries to freebies in a given society, the number of payers are also going to increase. Are they going to be total number of payers increasing? Or given that number as a constant, is it going to be layered onto their payments from different sectors? Is a moot question.
Well, gentlemen, there are a lot of underlying questions that still remain with respect to this 2% cess. I'm very thankful to both of you for joining us and giving us your opinion. There are there are obviously talks about the fact that the number of employment figures is very unclear at this point of time. The method by which the cess will be applied to these OTT subscriptions is also not entirely clear. So we'll find those answers in a few days, hopefully, and we'll try and get you more on this.